Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications as I'm sharing great contents for you all the time. Alright, previous lesson we completed create invoice section, and let's continue with the remove invoice. Alright, let's add a new class and let's give a name remove invoice command. Control RG. It's actually, are we going to allow the remove invoice? Let me have a quick look my domain again. Do we have any restriction for deleting? No, we don't have anything. Normally most of accounted project, the invoices they are not able to delete it again once they are created. So okay, we are not creating an accounted project, we're just doing our project anyway. So let's create this command and continue. Let's make it public record. All we need to is create invoice ID and I comment. Is there any return value? No, we just leave as it is. Perfect. Let's add new class remove invoice command handler. Control RG. Let's make it sealed. I unit of work. We don't need any mapper. Let's add I command handler remove invoice command handler. That's it. Any problem here? Okay, not handler. Remove invoice command. This is the correct one. Let's add our interface. Let's add our field. Fix naming. Add async. And fix this design. Alright, so all we need to do is check the invoice exists or not. I'm going to make a copy and paste from maybe products. Let's go command. Let's copy this section. Actually, I'm gonna copy all of them, and I'm gonna change the namings. Let's say invoice. This is going to be invoice as well. Let's add the namespace and invoice ID. If the invoice is null, no content DTO, null error, the invoice with the ID request or invoice ID not exist. If it's not, perfect. So just delete the invoice and save everything. Return the correct data. Control RG. Let's save everything. The remove is completed, guys. Let's continue with the update. Add new class. Update invoice command. Control RG. Make it public and switch this to record. Let's give our update DTO parameter update invoice DTO I command without any variable. This is the one. correct. Let's close it now. We're done with the command. Now carry on with the command handler. Update invoice command handler. Control RG, make it sealed. We need a unit of work. Perfect. I command handler update invoice command, correct. Let's fix the format, implement the interface, create an assign field unit of work. Let's fix the naming first, then let's fix the keyword of async and fixing the design. Alright, all we need to do is find the data first. So I'm going products, or actually I have here Control C and Control V. We have invoice. Let's make it DTO dot invoice IT, DTO dot invoice ID. So where is the problem? Invoice. Alright, let's fix this quickly before we forget what's happening. So domain ends invoice, update invoice DTO. So we have two references using this ID invoice. It became 0. Let's go back here. Invoice and invoice. Let's have a look. Is it going to be again 2? Yes, all done. Perfect. So we find the invoice, we check the invoice, and all we need to do is do an update invoice.update request.dto, and let's bring the unit of work and let's say update the invoice, and let's save the changes to DB. Perfect. Return is going to be result no content DTO with success 204 without any data. Alright guys, update section is completed. We have done approximately 9 minutes. So let's continue with the queries then. Minimize everything. Let's open again. Features, invoices and queries. Okay, get an invoice. Get invoice query. Control RG, make it public. Record get invoice query. Okay, all we need to do is type an invoice ID. Yep. And let's tag I query. The response is going to be invoice response, which is here. Let's continue with adding new handler. Get invoice query handler. Control RG, make it sealed. A unit of work. This is what we need, and we need IMapper as well. I query handler. The query is get invoice query and the response is invoice response. Okay, let's fix the format to vertical design and let's add fields, and I'm going to implement the interface. Perfect. First fix namings, then fix format of the method. Alright, let's get the invoice. For invoice, await, but this time we're going to use the other method instead of get by ID because we need to show the invoice items, so we need to include the invoice items. Alright, unit of work dot repository invoice get all, then I'm just thinking we get all invoices. Should I do the project? I'm going to include first include invoices, purchase products, yep. Then project to invoice item response with the mapper dot configuration provider. Then we're going to use virtual default async. ID must be the equal. Don't we have any ID? No, it's so invoice response. This is my fault. And ID must be equal to request dot invoice ID and with the cancellation token. Oops. Alright, we get the invoice now. If invoice is null, we're just going to return the same error just we did in, for example, remove command handler. Let's copy this one and add here. Let's change the return type. Yep, perfect. Null error, invoice not found with the given ID per all, done and perfectly. Yep, Control S. Alright, we found the invoice and is already mapped to invoice response directly to using project 2, so we can return it directly to our controller. The result is going to be invoice response, the success. I'm going to change the naming with the response, which is response anymore, with 200. Perfect, all done. We are returning the invoice now. Alright, let's create for all invoices. Create get all invoices query rg. Let's make public record get all invoices query, and we don't need any restriction because we just bring all the invoices in the system. Now I need to use command The return value is going to be the collection. Now let's have a look our invoice response. Did we create our collections? No, I don't think so. Okay, now I'm going to create the collection. Public class invoice response collection, and this is going to be I result prop I read on the collection and invoice response. Let's give a name, just invoices with a not null annoying description. Perfect. So we have invoice response collection with the I result. Now let's close it. Invoice response collection. Here we go. Let's delete the scopes and put our semicolon, save it. Let's create our handler. Get all invoices query handler. Control RG. Let's make it internal sealed class. Get all invoices query handler. I need to inject the unit of work. Unit of work. Do we need any mapper? Yep, of course we need a mapper. Mapper. Let's bring them all downside. Yeah, correct way. This is the correct way. Let's add the fields, fix the namings. Then I'm going to add my interface query handler. Oh, sorry, query handler. The query is get all invoices query. The response is invoice response collection. Yeah, here we go. Do we have any errors? Okay. Query handler. Query handler, invoice, get all invoice query. Is there any problem here? Get all invoices query. This is the collection. Okay, this is I command. My fault. I query must be added. RG. Perfect. Must be fixed. Perfect. It's done. Let's add the implement interface. First of all, we're going to get all products. Let's say response await unit of work repository invoice and get all project-2 invoice response mapper.configuration provider and to list async with a cancellation token. So we have in our hands list invoice response. I'm just gonna change naming invoices because response is going to be the collection. Perfect. For response new invoice response collection invoices is going to be invoices.as read only. Perfect. Now we can return our result. Invoice response collection success response with the 200 status code. Alright, we are returning the invoice right now. Let me have a look quickly. Did we do any mistake or something? I assuming everything seems alright. Yeah. Let me have a look. It's 20 minutes have been done. Before finish this section, I'm going to complete the event handler. Then we can continue. Alright, let's open application, features, invoices, commands, create invoice. Let's add a new folder, event handler. The handlers or handler? Let's have a look. So no product, so it is going to be in customer, right? We said event handler. Okay, let's keep as event handler. Handlers is better. Okay, let's switch this one to handlers. I'm gonna fix this naming as well. Perfect. Let's just rebuild the solution, see if there is an error before starting our event handling. Perfect, all succeed. Minimize everything again. Application, feature, invoices, commands, create invoice, event handler. Okay, I'm gonna create a new class. Let's say invoice created domain event handler. Control RG, make it sealed. I'm gonna add unit of work. I don't need any mapper. All I need to add notification handler and invoice created domain event. Perfect. Let's make this section more readable. Let's add this field to fix in namings, and we're going to add the interface. Perfect. Now all we need to do is we're going to find the customer. Yeah, we're going to find the customer and update the total balance. So we have, let's have a look. The invoice created domain event, we are returning the invoice ID, but the invoice ID actually is not a very good option. We need to return invoice ID and the customer ID together. Great, because we need to find the customer as well. Actually, if you find the invoice, we're able to find the customer as well. So let's remove it now. Okay, let's go back here. Try to use just this one. Let's get the invoice first. War invoice. Await. I'm going to use the first and default thing because I need to include the customer here. Repository. Invoice. Oops. Let's add the namespace. Now I'm going to get all. I'm going to include the customer. Perfect. We add the customer. And should I do anything else? First all default async. I'm not gonna do any mapping. I don't need mapping right now. I just need the invoice. The ID must be the equal notification dot invoice ID. Yeah, it must be double equal. Yep. So we have the invoice in our hands. If there is no invoice, we're going to return an error message, which I'm going to copy and paste from here, one of our service. Perfect. If the invoice is null, we're just returning the error message, same as we did in our actually this is notification section, right? We're just returning empty. Okay, so just returning, and we are leaving a command with the search. I guess I'm gonna make a double check what we did in customer commands, create event handler. Yep, search. We just type in search. Perfect. So if it's invoice null, we're doing nothing. If it's not, we're going to do some changes. Alright, all we need to do is updating the balance. Let me have a look the customer first. Where is the domain, entities, customer? Do we have any update method for it? I think not. Just have private set balance. Okay, we need to create a new method, public void update customer balance. We don't need to say customer update balance. Any data do we need? Let's say decimal new balance var new. Actually, let's say balance is going to be, actually I'm not gonna say new balance, the new invoice amount. Yeah, so the balance is going to be new money balance value plus invoice amount. So this is the new balance. The previous balance plus the invoice amount is going to be the new balance. Let's delete these two. Perfect. Let's save everything. So we can use this method to update our customer balance. Now all we need to do is invoice the customer dot update balance. The new invoice amount is invoice dot total balance. Is it decimal? This is money anyway, so if you go back, you don't need to create a new money anyway. If we say, actually we need to create a new, because we need to create a specific plus operation to use that, yeah, operation. Okay, I'm gonna use that money for now. We can amend it later. Invoice amount dot value. Perfect. Let's close it. So we're sending the invoice total balance. The customer is updated anyway, so let's call the unit of work and the repository. I'm going to call the invoice update invoice, because we are using invoice here. And let's do the changes, commit the changes in DB, unit of work, commit async, cancellation token, and all done. We are not returning anything. This is a void method. We get the invoice, we did the null check, we did the update, and we save everything to DB, and all done. Alright guys, let me do a quick rebuild. everything seems alright. Now I'm going to finish this lesson here. I'm really happy, guys. Project is going quite well, and hopefully we're going to make a great project together. If you crush the like button, I will be really appreciated. If you drop a comment, it makes my video much more visible in YouTube world. It really makes me motivated to create new content. Take care of yourself. See you on the next lesson. Bye bye.